Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into the YouTube channel. Another cold one by Northeast Texas standards. It's in the 30s today. We had a little snow flurry. Nothing's really sticking. There's more rain than snow here where I live. I got a buddy in Dallas. His kids are tubing in the snow. I'm actually glad we don't have a whole lot of that here. Chances that weather or that water or precipitation is going to freeze overnight. Hopefully that doesn't make a mess on the roads, but I know there's parts of the country that are blanketed with snow and a whole lot colder, and hope everyone's doing well out there. But I've got my gloves on. I'm in the garage, got my little space heater going over there. Actually got a tournament this weekend. Gonna try to practice tomorrow if the roads don't ice up. And then the tournament is Sunday. It's a team tournament, fishing with a buddy of mine from Dallas, and really looking forward to it. First tournament of the year. It's on a power plant lake, and I like these power plant lakes because they don't act like they normally would in a traditional lake. Everything else around here without power plant is pretty much winter, just straight wintertime temperatures, wintertime type patterns. But where we're going, they could be spawning. So really cool. Looking forward to that. First event of the year, like I'm saying. And with that, we'll get right into the video. So I've got a new bait that came out in 2024, and some of you probably have them already. Some of you have fished them and probably catching a bunch of fish. But it's a bait that I've been looking at here in my shop here in the garage, and I've been thinking, man, I need to put that into play. There's something to that bait that I think could really help me catch some bigger fish. Because, the reality is the tournament game is not about catching five anymore. It's more about catching those better quality fish. You've got to have, we used to try to have a good kicker fish, and that would make all the difference. You got to have a couple kickers now, maybe 3 or 4 kickers. It seems like the average size of tournament weights just have gone up over the years. The fishing's better, the tournament weights are better, and so the time of, just getting 5 is, I feel like, there's still a time for that. There's times when some of the tournaments are more challenging to just get bit, and with those they'll have that kind of 5 fish mindset. But more often, day in, day out, you're gonna have 3 or 4 or 5 good ones if you want to even have a chance at winning. And so I've been looking at this bait, and it's the Yamamoto 10-inch Oki worm. And I know some of you guys have fished this, like I said. And it's really kind of an interesting bait. I got them last year, and I got a couple of different colors. This is I think this is Bama Bug, June Bug with green pumpkin. The first one was green pumpkin. And then this one here is plum. And I think big worm fishing is kind of relegated to just the summertime. But I think this has a place in your boat and in my boat. And I feel like there's a couple ways that you could fish it. Obviously, Texas rig is going to be one of the ways. Carolina rig, another way. Fishing it offshore on ledges and different things like that. But I'm thinking about using it in a different way. I know guys throw big worms on shaky heads and jig heads, and that's what I'm talking about. But I've got some different ideas about how I want to do that. So the Oki worm is made with floater formula. So different from the Senko. The Senko is gonna, fall to the bottom. It's a heavier bait. And when it gets to the bottom, it's gonna lay on its side on the bottom. This one is gonna have more of a tendency to stand up, especially if you're hopping it and getting it to reposition. And then I'm thinking about putting it on the back of a wide gap jig head. This is the spot remover wide gap model. And, if you follow the channel, I'm a big fan of these wide gap shaky heads like this from Buckeye. It's got that stand-up type head there. It's got a bigger, wider gap so that, your worm doesn't have a tendency to ball up on it. And with that floater formula, I feel like it's going to stand up when rigged up on the back here. I like the fact that some baits float because if there's anything in the way of the vision of the fish and this thing's just kind of laying across the bottom, a lot of times those fish don't see it. If they don't see it, they don't know it's there. They may not hear it. They may not be able to go over there and investigate it. So if you got a bait that stands up, like the Oki worm, I feel like there's, potential to get that fish's interest. And if you're dragging it slowly, especially on a big jig head like this, there's an opportunity to get that fish to bite. If you're around heavier cover, brush, weeds, rock, sometimes only the back portion is really going to be sticking up there, maybe just a little bit of the back section there. And when you have a shorter bait, you don't have that opportunity for those fish to see it, because I'm a big believer that in order for fish to bite it, he's got to see it. He's got to either hear it or be tipped off to the presence of the bait in the area. A couple of things that I like with this Oki worm, outside of the fact that it floats, is a lot of your bigger worms have a really thick body. This one is not as thick. I don't think it's even as thick as a Senko. So I like that. I mean, it's a big bait, big profile, but it's somewhat finesse. I kind of like that. So you'll probably be able to, get the attention of a big fish, but it's finesse enough where, man, they'll come over and check it out, and I think it's going to get bit more days than not. You'll probably even catch some 2-pounders on it. But one of the things that I liked about it, and I've been looking at this bait, is the fact that it goes from this thick body here, and then it tapers right here, if you can see that. It tapers down, and then it gets bulbous again, another like thicker midsection or tail section right there. And so when I shake this thing, or you shake it, it's going to really move around, and that's going to kind of wag around out there, and I feel like that's going to be kind of tantalizing to the fish. And another way that I feel like these are going to be great, and why I want to have them in the boat, is I feel like I can cut it off right below this egg sac right here, and it'll be just a little bit bigger than a Senko. It'll have some different action than a Senko, plus it'll stand up. There's some definite things that I think this bait can really do for me, and I'm looking forward to kind of putting it into play for 2025. What do you guys think? Do you think this is going to be a good one? I think it's going to be a good bait. I just think that it can get pigeonholed into a summertime ledge fishing bait only, and I think that's where we maybe need to kind of rethink that whole process. I know I'm just kind of talking about the bait and really thinking about ways that I can fish it. Love to hear what you guys think. I'd love to hear if you guys are smashing them on it already, or have had great success with it already in 2024 when it came out. But the Oki worm, I think, is going to have a place in my boat this season. I appreciate you guys tuning into the YouTube channel. Drop in the comment section where you guys are going fishing this weekend. Love to hear the lakes and kind of get an idea for where some of y'all are going fishing. I know the weather conditions aren't the same for everybody, and some people aren't even thinking about that. If you're not going fishing, what are you going to do? You're going to work on tackle, you got some honeydews to do, or working around the house. I know I still have some painting to do in our bathroom. I sure appreciate all of you. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not familiar, I have some merch, Team Niggemeyer Fishing. This is one of my hats. I'll leave a link to where you can find my merch in the description section, as well as my website and social media channels and whatnot. Thanks for watching, and until next time, good fishing.